And one day you're full of energy, so you load everything you need and finally go on a quest to discover the planet. Even when sometimes it feels like some kind of dream or stage, reality splashes you in the face. Those wallpapers that you used to dream about are now your home. And your home is a keyless house with the world's biggest garden where you have Mary Poppins-worthy saddlebags that fit everything. And you get a time machine because in the life trip, time is relative. 6 years of nomadic travel might seem like a lot, but maybe it's not too much if you are at the beginning of the rest of your life. And moving 70 kilometers per day, it's a lot when you carry your home in your bike and the ticket is for free. Same story with the money. You need so little that you become a time millionaire. And with that time, if your steps are humble, you reach luxurious places and experiences. Life trip. Let's begin. This could be a selfie documentary that lasts more than 1 hour telling about how marvelous the world is. And it's going to be like that partially because many incredible things happen that you just have to share. But in such a big experience you have to read between the lines and learn lessons from the dark moments that contrast with the bright ones, from storms and fears, or from plot twists that turn your world upside down. Both sides are pure saddleback treasure for me. And as I flew through those worlds, the life trip whispered to me songs, ideas, and lessons that now it's time to share. Lesson 1. Dreams come true. Well, not 100%, but let's not start from the wrong premise. At 27 and with no experience, I set a foot on the stage, and from its magic, I recorded 2 albums and shared adventures with excellent artists. That great personal journey sparked the question, well, if big dreams come true, what's the next on the list? And that was nothing less than see the world and live intensely. So before I get stuck in the routine again, I decided to go to Morocco. Morocco was the ideal introductory trip. A small geographical leap, but a huge cultural one. Divide and conquer, that was the strategy. Take an affordable adventure before facing the big challenge of changing my lifestyle. I totally nailed it and it was an amazing trip. Each new step led me to a feeling of a point of no return. My retinas became addicted to those new landscapes, traditions, people, and at the end of those almost 3 months, the Nomad was born. But there was one last desert to cross. Fear. My own fears, imagining dead ends or prejudices that invent unreal dangers. Fortunately, one by one, they dissolved. But another kind of fear was lurking. An alien invasion that, no, I'm just kidding. The one what others stealing you by their comments or disbeliefs. It's normal not to be able to imagine a friend or a family member living on a bicycle. Back then, even myself couldn't imagine how simple it would be at the end. I didn't even have to give up with the music. Recording my 3rd album thanks to a crowdfunding. Thank you all. Yep, typical question. How are you going to earn the money? The truth is that the little I need, I get it from small audiovisual jobs for touristic places, music bands, or even small towns and villages. Creative work and beautiful surroundings. What more could I ask for? People ask me where I will shower, cook, dry my clothes, or what happens with friends and family. And what if I fell in love? And the list goes on. Okay, let's start from the beginning. No, not there. Move forward with the bicycle. Not that one. Move. Right there. From Barcelona, my city, I flew to Sao Paulo, where a second-hand bicycle was waiting for me. I called her Ona. I will introduce her later. Oh, the first days on rivers of asphalt left me in shock, but I found myself on the map and I headed to the Rio Santos coastal road. The journey began creative, improvising a bike bag with an old bike basket. The fix worked while On and I fell in love with the view from the window. The footsteps were relaxing, and sometimes I had to stop to believe that I was actually living the dream. Oh, I remember the colonial streets of Paraty, where I earned my first money playing the guitar. Also, the couchsurfing community, making new friends with people that open their homes to trade colors, friendship, and culture. Tiny pieces of a home spread all over the world that make everything easier and warmer. Wait a second, important life trip moment. At the beginning I pursued safety, moving from host to host like a squirrel jumping branches. But one afternoon, as I was cycling, I realized that I wasn't worried about where I was going to sleep. I trusted the inertia of the trip. You can't imagine the freedom I felt at the moment. It was a turning point. Just flow. And hand in hand came another lesson. Don't plan and let yourself be surprised. And this is how, in spite of thinking of avoiding it, I ended up in Rio de Janeiro. Prejudices, my allergy to tourism, and fears clashed with the natural happiness and exuberance of the most spectacular city I've seen. The Carioca's joyful way captivated me, and I wondered, why don't we go back and visit that island that we escaped and that everybody talks about? So, said and done, we went to Ilha Grande. Once there, I felt living a dream within a dream. A green island with no cars, no roads, poor jungle, beaches, and the perfect sea, the famous dog racing on the water. Just kidding. Malu, I miss you. A new kind of paradise and rhythms for my European eyes. I also made new friendships that became family after some time. Those weeks were just a perfect cinematic sequence. Days of relaxed spying the nature. The river seemed prehistoric to me. I was there enjoying paddle surf, spying the waves, surfing with friends. The first jobs as a filmmaker also arrived, but at the best moment, the ghost of disaster appeared. LIFETRIP slap. I had miscalculated the visa deadline and I was forced to leave Brazil, changing my plans. In Santiago de Chile, my friend and mentor Mark was waiting for me. He's the one who introduced me to the world of bike touring and had been cycling for years from Alaska. I learned from his experience as a great bicycle traveler, from his camping and photography tips, as we immersed ourselves in Chile, a country that was a constant crescendo of curiosities and wonders. At the gates of Patagonia, Mark and his girlfriend had to fly back to San Francisco, and I continued my journey southward. But before enjoying the amazing Patagonia, a comment: In this area, it's common to zigzag between Chile and Argentina, and suddenly you hear, "How did those Argentines treat you?" And from the other side, "Che, they played dirty during the Malvinas War." In other places, more labels like "You Spaniards came here and stole the gold." Prejudices and labels that add nothing. You never know who can be the good one, who can help you, who can be your friend or partner, regardless of where on the planet they were born or what history their country has. For me, to believe that your flag or your culture is better than any other is an impoverishing attitude. In the end, as science knows, we are the same monkey from the same root. Then, why not choose the flag of humanism and empathy above all others? Can you tell me if this land, this forest, or this sky belongs to Chile, Argentina, or Norway? Psst, put some music on. And if I already felt baptized, Patagonia was the communion of the cyclist. Temuco, Villarrica, Pucón, Panguipulli, Pitruquén, lakes, waterfalls, volcanoes. Every step was a therapy that immersed you in another world. The greens that surround you extinguishes the echoes of the past. Patagonia heals you. On the Argentine side, the ashes of the Puyehue volcano added even a more unreal touch to the atmosphere. On the beautiful Seven Lakes route, cyclists from all over the world magically appear to share kilometers. It's a top route filled with crazy adventurous people who share such a special time in your life that you make connections forever.
Escóndete bien cerca que te quiero encontrar, porque tú eres la sombra de mi desierto, también el sostenido de mi bemol, la clave de mi
I remember camping in the ashes and dinners full of laughter, recipes, and travel anecdotes. Then, when you're on the road, it's always good to have someone around to complain about the pain in your butt. All this while enjoying a perfect weather and long descent of thousands of kilometers on a smoothest downhill without trace of mechanical problems. Attention, we are informed that They Believe the movie. Yes, I repeat, They Believe it. Petalmont presents reality. Rain. Horseflies. Mosquitoes. And hard climbs where the bugs got you. Also, broken gravel descents where the mechanics suffer a lot. The good thing is that you get wilder and wilder and you feel like one of Patagonia's bugs. Now I realize that all this time I have not spoken to you, I mean my past self. Well, now I'm also from the past because this is recorded. Well, I leave you with me, with him.
Para el share, sería bueno share o share, pegarme una hostia en directo. Ya lo haré, ya lo prepararemos con colchonetas y tal. Bueno, estoy en medio de la Patagonia y hace como 8 meses y medio que empezó el viaje en Brasil, tras los 3 meses y pico por Brasil, 2 de pedalada.
What a failure, because I basically repeat the same thing. Let's continue with the Austral road. Narrator mode on. And the hardships of the journey were rewarded with obvious treasures. Meanwhile, the subtle ones were forged in silence. Like minimalism, maybe one of the most important gifts. Minimalism embraces you like a gradual climb. At first you have to push your legs, but you start to feel stronger and you enjoy a virtuous circle. For example, you can't imagine the peace of mind that comes with knowing that if you lose everything you have in this world, you can get it back in just 3 months of hard work. You also discover that you can cook wherever you want in amazing places without needing a modern kitchen. You also learn to camp in a corner or in a cave without setting up a tent. Well, I'll stop with the poetry. I have a saying, to eat is to eat and to shit is to shit. Translation, at the end of the day, we are all doing the same thing, whether in a 5-star hotel or under 1,000 stars. From Bill Gates to you listening this or even me camping in a drop valley, we have our basic needs covered. The point is what we do with it, with the time we have. Probably you don't need a washing machine to do your laundry. With your time, you can learn to repair or even build things. You have maps even without GPS. You have firewood if you don't have a stove. If you don't have a drone, use a stick. If you don't have electricity, you have wind, pedals, and the sun to charge smartphone batteries, which do absolutely everything. You have time to dry your food, and if you don't have a sale, use your creativity. If you don't have a fridge, buy fresh food. If you have time, you have everything. There are rivers, fire, wood. There are even natural hot springs. And if you don't have a fishing rod, you can use a can.
La técnica ancestral. Y ahora recollí.
In the end, time to enjoy time itself and time for yourself. Not time to work to pay for maybe unnecessary things. You discover the paradox that the fewer things you own, the richer you are. Perhaps a minimalist today will be a multimillionaire in the past. You can record and produce a music album on the beach, or you can carry Alexandria's library in your pocket. Tiny drones that follow you around and record in 4K? Is this some kind of a joke? Purified water with ultraviolet light recharged by solar panel? Most of the luxury houses I find are empty. I can imagine the owners busy in their city office while I'm here enjoying their holiday views. Minimalism, regression, or revolution? The people I've met with the highest quality of life are those who own or need the least. As for me, I just need a small place to pitch my tent. And that's it.
I'm Taru.
I'm Christy.
And we're from Too Blind to Ride. Both of us are from the United States. We are legally blind, so we have some vision, but not all vision. And so we're riding a tandem bike from Ushuaia to Alaska to raise awareness about blindness. And so we just want people to know that if you're disabled, you can still do amazing things, right?
Yeah, even if you're not disabled.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, we'll see ya.
Have a nice trip.
You too.
Nothing else to say, right? I remember another Albert Casals, who traveled the world as a child with a contagious optimism on his two wheels. Thank you for your example and your slap in the face, Albert. You have put a huge grain of sand on the beach of my dream. And let's keep spying on LIFETRIP. Let's go on. Let's go to the south of South. I couldn't resist taking a look at Caleta Tortel to see if it was true about the hanging wooden streets over the forest. And from Caleta, the cold, the wind, the rain, and the mud became harder and harder every day. Those who have experienced it knows that the last part of Carretera Austral is wild and demanding, but you're already on your way and you can handle everything.
Lleva el ritmo, explica el máximo de la misma. Shipping Press es como una mena botella de vidra que va cuando empujan total press.
Even there, in the middle of nowhere, you find friends to share the road and some fun.
Y me hago el pillo en los sofás para desnudar el amanecer contigo. Cambio de planes, tu demonio angelical.
And after the epic O'Higgins border crossing, the Carretera Austral came to an end. Not the adventure, because the next day in our way to El Chaltén, we brushed the feet of Shy Fitzroy, who was hiding behind the clouds that day. And the next day, a gift from the sun. The Laguna Torre was clear. Then the wind turned in our favor and pushed us at full speed towards El Calafate.
Cambio de planes y escenarios ahora por tu comedor. Cambio de planes, dos iguales para hoy que dejan de ser ciegos. Dejan de ser ciegos.
And And once again, I had to stop to digest. Was it true that I was living these adventures? And you open your eyes and Perito Moreno Glacier in front of you. Close, open again, and Torres del Paine. A fairy tale place that left me speechless. And yes, all these famous places are amazing and I feel lucky to have visited them. But I prefer the anonymous corners like the one in this valley where you can see the planet as it was eons ago. And the craziest thing is that this is where you live, where you make your coffee in the morning. It's your backyard, your home, with no time limit and without mortgage. Imagine for a moment that one day on TV they announce the discovery of a new planet. On this planet, there are great forests, watered by the melting of giant glaciers, monstrous waterfalls with perennial rainbows, majestic peaks, kilometer-long towers, ice walls 70 meters high. There are northern lights and shooting stars. Also imagine that only one person in the world could go to enjoy it through a lottery. You know where I'm going with this, right? Congratulations, you have won the lottery and the planet is the Earth. And friend, we only have one chance to see, smell, walk and enjoy these landscapes, cultures and fauna. I remember taking this photo of Perito Moreno thinking, how could I even contemplate the possibility of missing all this? Wow. Virtual or real dreams? I know my answer. But in the journey you find everything, and now it's time for silence and defeats.
Así que malas noticias.
The wind and especially the austral cold defeated me. If you remember, the adventure started in Brazil and my equipment was not good enough for this latitude. I had 2 very bad nights where I felt fear, real danger. It was time to accept that I will not reach Ushuaia. But the good thing about defeats is that they bring lessons and future victories. One is that nature rules, and if you are not technically prepared, it's better not to tempt it. Another one, overcoming the taboo of putting your foot on the ground and ask for help. And after 2 sleepless, freezing nights and cycling against hurricane force winds, I had no choice. And I also got rid of a projected character with an unblemished record. Remember the do not project rule? This applies to ourselves and our dreams. Sometimes reality doesn't match with what we imagine. We must open our minds and adapt to avoid being trapped in a present imagined by the past. Absurd but common. It happens in life or relationships. Or when you share routes with another cycle travelers, where you learn that each journey is unique. Because do you think a nomad stops or carries the same as someone who is on vacation for a few months? That's why I decided to subtitle LIFETRIP as the slowest world tour in history, a statement of intent to enjoy each step at my own pace, flowing and without forcing. If you can share, great, but if not, I still with Ona. By the way, it's time to introduce her to you. Okay, I confess, I talked to Ona. We spent many hours and adventures together. Lately, she's gained weight. That minimalism, but traveling slowly and not in a hurry is another kind of minimalism. Ona in Catalan, my native language, means wave. With her, I surf seas, lakes, oceans, rivers, streams. We embarked to cross to towns on peninsulas, islands, mangroves. Ona goes everywhere with me. Ona takes her dips, soaks up the sun by the palm trees, and even asks for selfies on viewpoints. We have crossed wooden bridges, asphalt ones, viaducts, and sometimes we even sing together. Even boarded a cargo ship that will take us to the Canary Islands, where we will look for a sailboat to cross the Atlantic. But let's stop here, because that happens years later after a visit home. Adventurona dares to do everything. Cycling through the desert or on the beach, far from the asphalt, in the mud, in the middle of the jungle. Well, once we had a problem because I met a nice mountain bike, but we talk about it and we fix everything. With her, I've crossed mountains and forests, reaching storybook places. And as the legendary Heinz Stuke says, the bicycle is your good person's passport. Sometimes she drops the saddlebags and comes with me to a tour. She also loves my Spanish siestas. Ona is the real famous one. People ask about her story and quirks. She captivates kids in a second. And other bikes as well. We are Sansopantha and Quijotona, adventuring around the world from the Wild West to imaginary planets. The rocket even has a cockpit control. And as my friend Mark says, there comes a time when you merge with her and feel more comfortable cycling than walking. In short, this is Ona, my faithful companion, and we could say the love of my life. Shh, for the moment. Well, okay, let's continue. And in those moments of hitting rock bottom that I have experienced over the years, I took advantage of them to mutate and evolve. From a cycling adventure to a vital one. From traveler to nomad. From counting km to singing them. From looking at maps, dates and countries to intuiting and discovering them. Even the freedom and the chaotic touch of this documentary reflects that spirit of not sticking to rules and flow as much as possible. And well, now let's continue to the right or not, to the left better. Wait, I'm gonna play a video from 6 years later in time. Wait a second, there's a poor coverage. Okay, there.
Aquí estamos en uno de los mejores momentos del día para mí, que es el principio. No porque no me duelen las piernas todavía, sino por esto. La niebla, el día despertando, ahora he salido del pueblo, las panaderías abriendo, el olor de leña, sobre todo en los pueblecitos. Y fijaros qué paisajes más bonitos. La luz es muy linda también.
Calm down, I'll situate you. After the astral semicolon, I went up to Bahía Blanca, where friends were waiting with a music video to filmate. And from there, Buenos Aires, Rosario, the Fernet, the asados, and the jump to the little country, Uruguay. And how cold it is. Che, you are a gaucho.
Horas meditando si salía o no, si no me he atrevido, porque presiento que va a abrirse un poco esto con el sol. ¿Cuánto me queda Montevideo? 200. Hoy es el tercer día aquí en Uruguay.
And one nice winter day, I arrived in Montevideo, a city that treated me great and where I also give a very special concert that I keep in my memory.
Vivo para pegar un paseo en bicicleta y conocer la ciudad. Del mercado del puerto hay una panadería muy auténtica y muy famosa.
And empanadas, mate, and Albert's classic escape. Cities tempt you with opportunities, jobs, kisses, but I slide through their fingers to return to my beloved VIDAJE, LIFETRIP. Then El Pinar, Maldonado, Punta del Este, trotting like a gaucho along the north coast between lighthouses and the last palm trees of the Camino del Indio. The gaze get lost on the map, La Pedrera, La Paloma, until I open my eyes and find myself in front of one of the tops of the LIFETRIP, the unforgettable Cabo Polonio. In the Cape, the reference is the lighthouse, the only point where the power line arrives, and you can count if there are 12 seconds of darkness between each burst of light, as Jorge Drexler sang in a song composed from one of these ranchitos. And the plague of sea lions, and the postcards on the window, with the whales that approach through the beach, as if they wanted to listen to the candombes, or the tangos, the asados, the talks, the recipes, the friendships. And what more could you ask for? Surfing? Well, okay, surf surrounded by sea lions, enjoy hypnotic sunsets, and all this near my dear sea. My favorite garden, which in the Capes means whales, dolphins, and on land, the famous Darwin's toad. I even got a filmmaker job. What a move. The last straw will be to fall in love. And, well, under those skies, it's a kind of difficult not to fall into the temptation of climbing up to the clouds and fly away with a beautiful smile to the south of Brazil. And now that you are hooked on the soap opera, I'm going to mention an important point for me. Do you remember at the beginning about the tourists just visiting the places, etc.? Well, when we travel, our eyes often only focus on the obvious. And then comes the click, sharing, hashtags, likes, and in the middle of all that noise, sometimes we miss the important things as the local people. This feeds back and the tourist turns into money, into souvenirs who buy souvenirs. And I'm the first who sometimes look at tourist postcards and I don't realize that next to me I have a Renaissance painting full of everyday scenes to learn from. On the other side, perhaps, a grandmother washing clothes may know more about the place than the best guide, and her grandchildren catch you a more delicious dinner than the restaurant. And I have nothing against selfies, etc. I'm again the first one to share when I feel the bug. But in addition to the obvious, why don't we dive a little deeper into details? For example, on an island, a beautiful postcard can hide social or infrastructure problems. It's like if we only watch movie trailers. Isn't it better to see the whole thing? And there is a dark side in paradise, where the locals go to work in maintenance or services half hidden behind the scenes. Tourists are dazzled with colorful facades of houses in which probably no one lives. Or we put filters on an already incredible sunset. We focus on the big things, ignoring the small or the uncomfortable. Our brain is very good manipulating the reality, and social networks distort it even more. We love the goal, but we don't connect with those next to us in the stands. Who did you look at first, the surfer or the fisherman? We relax on the beaches, but we don't pay attention to who's around us or who made that hammock. We enjoy our snack, but we know nothing about the chain that makes it possible, or what this activity involves. In the end, it all ends up in me, in us. And I propose, let's swim at the Golden Beach in the morning, okay, but in the afternoon let's go to the river with the kids, with the fishermen, to talk and mix. In the end, we will not be able to distinguish between crop green and jungle green. Since I'm on a trip, I observe, I doubt, I ask questions and I learn. I think it's the only way to add real steps on the journey. What do you see, dolphins or trash on the beach? Sky or hardness? The look rests on the pleasant, but the yin has its yang. The life, his death. The winner leaves a loser. And all the colors of the rainbow needs the gray scale to exist. In short, just as roses have their thorns, the life are made up of light and shadows. And I choose to contemplate, to learn, and to share here a bit of both sides. And if we add to all this the time factor, you have what I call the visitor's effect. When you travel the world, everyone treats you great. You are like eternal guest, a distant cousin who is visiting. Also, arriving by bicycle gives you a touch of fairy tale that opens smiles, hugs, and eyes. Then parties, birthdays, reunions, toasts, days, nights, barbecues, wine, music, and good vibes. The contrast with the version given to you by the media and the fears, it's total. That's why the usual impression of the traveler is that everyone is fantastic and great. For the most part, I agree, but again, shall we take a closer and calmer look? Because as travelers, if instead of passing from flower to flower, enjoying the rich nectar of hospitality, just landing on the branches to rest like a migrating bird, we relax our rhythm a bit and put down some roots in the places where we are, we will dive into the depths of these people for the good and the bad. We will discover that some will be good friends, others disappointments or surprises, but all of them more real. And that extra time also allows you to live 100 lives, like the one in which I was a fisherman on a lost beach in the northeast of Brazil, picking up the nets down on the reef. Then there will be a different talks than those of the first days of welcome. The real reality appeared. The needs, the problems, those who slip into the chats being one more in the café da mañana. Looks like if you can read minds or be invisible and spy the dark side of routine. And it's obvious that in every country there is corruption, abuses of authority, sexism, and also that in the bucolic villages there is a hard side. You see the deficiencies in education, depression, hunger, classism, racism, animal abuse, mistreatment, alcoholism, drug addiction, assaults, ecological crimes, and etc. With which I don't want to depress you, but also I don't want to paint things in unrealistic color or show you a naive postcard. And you will say, what to do with those punctures? And I don't know, I'm an egoist, light years away from a doctor without borders, but we can always do our bit. If you go scuba diving, reserve a day to seabed or beach cleaning. Or if you camp in a small school, stay an extra day to share a tale with kids. Did you know that in Chapada Diamantina the candomba flower appeared after 17 years? It only happens after fire, telling us that one by one, like every flower, small actions can completely change an isolated landscape. And leaving the stories aside, optimism, walking around the planet and its people is very worthwhile. Let's continue. La Grande Caupolonia. You are all waiting for the soap opera. I'm sorry, that story ended, and besides the good memories and what we live and the friendship we kept, our ways parted. Because if finding someone to share your life with is already difficult, imagine adding the requirement of bicycle nomadism. And I was already so close that my steps wanted to repeat the green and the blue of my beloved Isla Grande. And like a little lamb with a broken heart, I returned to seek the embrace of my friends. The fun, the calm, the adventures and the vertigo again. Dancing a little forró and drinking pinga. And I'm getting old, and I'm also seduced by the repairing siestas on the wild island beaches. To be reborn in the Cachoeira da Feiticeira, or walking through the mato, crossing my fingers to see a bugio monkey appear, snacking some fresh leaves.
Mis dedos porque aún recuerdan muy bien trazar el secreto.
And how difficult it was to escape from the Iliad for the second time, but how easy to imagine coming back to claim the papagayo pig that I left pending. And how easy catch for the second time the wave of Rio, and even more so this season. Everyone, once in a lifetime, should visit this city at carnival time. The closest way to dance in heaven, and from there to the Garden of Eden, Iguazú.
Ella puedo respirar todo el tren que trasnochaba en la cocina y en la cama. Tu plato preferido, hoy te lo intento cantar.
What better way to enter a new country than through a triple border? Paraguay.
Para que bailen desnudos cuatro.
Looks like another time and another era. I remember the refreshing and the addictive tereré, also la sopa, el asado, la chipa. I was also invited to levitate over the gigantic Paraná River and take a look at the massive Itaipú Dam or the fascinating ruins of Jesuitas. I'm sorry, I'm already idealizing again. Arriving to Ciudad del Este through one of the most smuggling bridges in the world was a chaos. Then the contrast between the big shopping malls with the small markets. More contrast, the city down sunny and suddenly a water spout of biblical proportions. Green and humidity in the southeast, in the north, the Chaco Desert. Guarani traditions in the hands of a German blood who arrives 100 years ago, but who still preserve customs that make you think you are in Bavaria. Lots of grains of all kinds, but not less tons of yerba mate. I saw myself in front of mountains of yerba mate that would have driven any of my Argentinian or Uruguayan friends crazy. Then the soybean atomic bomb that is invading everything left and right. The organic crops are anecdotal and everything is very exploited. Paraguay suffers some kind of an endemic bad luck, always abused. Even the beautiful Salto Mondaí loses the game in front of the nearby Iguazú waterfalls. On my route, I try to step as much as possible the little forests that resist, and the bucolic corners that have not fallen into the nets of globalization and that make you not know if you are in the downtown of Asunción, Milan or Barcelona. I love to find a new flavor in the street, or an improvised Guarani song, or jumping from the asphalt to the addictive red ground. And a curiosity, I had never seen a cotton blossom before. I love to cross on a rickety raft to a lost town where no one knew arrived years ago. Time goes slowly in Paraguay, as my pedal strokes jumping between volunteer fire companies like the one in Santani, where I stop a long time because of the heavy rains. I continue towards the Chaco. Leonardo interviews me on his radio where the hands climb on the antennas to escape from predators. I stop at Ibiyaú, where a family lets me come near where they dry some kind of mandioca. I hope that this windowless house is not what I'd better go on my way. Joking aside, on human level, it's a very tough area to go through. If you don't turn a blind eye, the pedaling becomes sad. A crazy fireman shows me his delusions of Paris-Dakar and makes me smile. In the meantime, every day I improve the record of setting up my tent.
Lovisa, wake up!
I listen to the parrot and arrive to Concepcion like a shot, where I cross the Paraguay River infested with alligators, which, by the way, the firemen invite me to taste them at night. But in these lands, the terror is... okay, you can imagine. At the gates of Chaco, I suffer a breakdown. Warning to sailors.
Y mis canciones se afilan tretas para domar otra vez sin riendas a este mulo.
Hola amigos, esta es la carretera.
Y en el petate,
Atención.
un euro y pan duro. Al menos espere.
El desierto se la come y nadie la repara.
Echar a volar.
Sigamos en el Chaco, 23 kilómetros, 0 kilómetros por hora en este momento.
Cycling in desert areas has its charm and its madness. You can pass from a terrible heat under the sun to freezing water at night. The shadows become as precious as food and water to hydrate yourself.
Que aspira tras el velo de luces de feria y coser y cantar.
The wildlife is wild and spectacular, but it's hunted or run over. The Chaco is very hard for everyone without exception. And that harshness is only suitable for tough guys like farm guards.
Aquí estamos con Agustín, argentino, pese a que ya es medio paraguayo de tanto tiempo que lleva.
It's difficult to see women, and like children, if there are any, they know how to shoot. Revolvers hang from their waist, and shoulder shotguns like Agustin's one are not an exception.
Lleva muchos años en bicicleta, para arriba y para abajo también. O en caballo o en bicicleta, no hace falta gasolina.
But the hardest things in the Chaco was to find the classism of some Menonitas with the Paraguayans, and some of these in turn were racist with the indigenous people, and almost all of them sexist with women. The last straw was to follow the doctors to the settlements and discover that, in addition to the situation of oblivion, the witch doctors of the village forbid them to receive medicines with delusions that the doctors are stealing their souls, etc. Once again, superstition claims lives.
Como veis, le faltaría un poco de mantenimiento general a la carretera, de cortar un poco las puntas, ¿no? Vendría a ser el arcén. Welcome to Bolivia.
And let's go on, Bolivia. I enter through a border a bit gray and lonely, but as in Bolivia everything is color, suddenly color in the people, in the streets, in the little markets, clothes. Oh, the little markets. I love them. I think it's worth investing a little time, don't you? It's my favorite place to take the pulse of the people and the country. In the morning, they show me gestures, aromas, humor, flavors, habits, the good and the bad, salt and pepper, the sea and the mountain.
Los victorinos con astas de asfalto son perros falderos y salen al mar.
Los marineros son miuras muy bravos si no están a la orilla de un bar.
And it's time to prepare the food, and when it's ready, the people and the workers appear to refill their tanks. And if you are a little expert, you will taste incomparable recipes. But there's no way to give up my stove and my road recipes. But if somebody lets me a kitchen, I can cook some grandmother-style tortilla and paella. Or a kayak fideuá style. Or sailboat recipes in the Atlantic crossing. Although I also let myself be invited. For example, a fried torta in Misiones after the rain. A cargo barbecue. Also stews of mountain refugee, migas in Murcia, fresh Brazilian coconut, German stew in Paraguay, Pyrenean wild boar, island prawns with pesto, Argentinian asado in Córdoba, tapioca and beiju in the Brazilian Northeast, torta in the Argentinian Rioja, crab in Fortaleza, yakisoba in Capao, fish in the Paraná River, sugarcane juice in the Chapada, or anything cooked in a machine invented by my friend Ariel. Or any of the pastas made by my dear Sorrentinas in Abrao. Oh, my mouth is watery. Many times in the middle of nowhere, when they see me load like a mule, they invite me to have a little dish and chat. Pure culture, wealth, and exchange.
Ya come. Ah, chuchu, sí, eso gusto. Y carne de porco. De cerdo. Muito obrigado.
But well, as I said, I wouldn't change my little fire and dining room with panoramic views for anything. But if I find a good barbecue... Let's continue with Bolivia, but without the charango, because, my first day. Better to leave the soundtrack in professional hands. I experienced scenes worthy of a Berlanga movie, sharing the platico for the foreigner with the priest and the musicians of the comparison. I was tattooed with the smell of fermented corn from the chicha drinks until I staggered to the town square to continue the party. Bolivia, sometimes old and sometimes so young. I was like a child with eyes wide open to the new show. And to a splash of colors, a new culture with indigenous touches that made it even more attractive. And then face to the Andes, by good trails, hard ones but lovely too. And of course, clean to see the condor fly. Even if it means going up and down and up and going down again to get the camera so that years later you can enjoy this shot. Ooh. Oh, and the secret of the climbing elves that help you. And the nice routine of looking for a bath, camping, or asking the birds to sing you a lullaby to sleep. The next day to continue getting lost in lost towns, or to visit La Higuera where Che Guevara was caught. Pausing, breathing, reading, and summiting the top.
Esos momentos en que coronas la subida y vislumbras la bajada.
Winding through Martian lands where mounts fit between giant mountains. What a madness. Like going up and up and up until one fine day. Oh, look at that. It seems like Alberto has had a stroke.
Pero me ha venido la pájara y me ha dejado destrozado. Entonces he comido, he parado a comer y... ¿Y qué? Terrible. Estamos aquí en un pueblo abandonado, no hay ni un alma. Y no sé, estoy lejos de todo, voy a descansar, me voy a tomar, suerte que he cargado el termo hoy con agua caliente. Además hace frío, está lloviendo, está lloviznando. Bueno, llueve, se va. Día durísimo, durísimo. La verdad es que no recuerdo un día tan duro, creo, porque físicamente me ha exigido mucho, aparte que ha coincidido con el bajón. La rodilla ya me empieza a doler. Terror. Para que descanse me animaré y a malas, mira, acampamos y nos recuperamos y mañana rematamos. Ona está muerta también, se le ha soltado una alforja, una fijación. Pensaba que se había roto, un show, y cuando ya estaba medio todo desmontado me he dado cuenta que no, que estaba salido y lo he apretado y ya está. ¿Y por qué no miro a mi cámara? Y eso. No se puede confiar en la gente. A nivel de rutas y tal, la gente va en coche y piensa y no se fija bien y no comparan. Es normal, yo supongo que haría lo mismo, le diría a la gente, no, aquí está cerca. Pero no, ni es bajada ni es cerca. En el coche parece todo bajada, las subiditas. Y no he parado prácticamente, subir. Me he agotado, no tengo energía.
I'm thinking about what the people say. I'm gonna tell you an anecdote. At the end of the Austral Road, I cycled almost 3 days alone in a very isolated area. There I finally saw a huemul, a type of deer that is a symbol of Patagonia. I was standing drinking water when suddenly I saw one come down to the ditch to graze. I was able to get very close and it seems to be watching me as curious as I was. The next day I meet some gauchos who told me,
Y por eso no quedan huemules, porque se los zampan la cantidad de pumas que hay. Por donde yo he pasado en bicicleta estos días, medio desmayado, que me asaltan unos pumas y se me llevan.
No, el puma se retira si te ves.
Sí, bueno, pero algún aventurero puede haber.
A la gente no diga, se están muy hambreados. Hay en ese sector, antes uno veía una manadita 6, 7, ahora no, raro se encuentra uno, dos. Y por eso, porque los guiones se los están comiendo.
Madre mía.
Pay attention to what they say. According to them, the man was not attacked, right? Well, 3 years later... Extra, extra, unusual, Spanish cyclist attacked by a puma. Do you recognize that bridge? Anyway, let's go on. We made a nice trip with a group of couchsurfing friends to the carnivals of Cochabamba. It is a colorful party in a big city with a small town spirit. It becomes warmer as the day progresses because at those heights the mornings woke up freezing. Some scenes were also tough. Do you remember about appearances? Look, a little girl dancing. You might think, how cute, she must be happy. But no, some people throw coins at her. They are used to make money. At that moment, your heart freezes and you are no longer in the mood of carnival. And another escape, this time mostly above the clouds. The high secondary roads lead me to the city of Sucre. And from its little market, of course, I stop to think and feel that after more than 2 years of nomadic living, it's time to visit home. So I grab an Inca takeoff ramp and...
Propera parada, Barcelona.
Can you imagine that your brother you haven't seen for almost 3 years suddenly serves you a coffee? Original meeting with the family, then see my people, my idol, introducing Ona to everybody, and just when I was packing my saddlebags to go on, I won a crazy contest that took me to travel in a motorhome for 4 months of adventure through the Pyrenees. For a sea lover guy like me, it was a whole new world that I had to discover. Pedaling on new surfaces, getting to know the science of the mountain, and of course also going up and down to the bottom. So many years playing hockey for this. I remember skiing up to the door of the Aguastortes refugee. And also keep climbing and climbing. That's what the mountains ask for you if you want a reward. And up again until some friends give you a hand. Weeks go by, the snow melts, and it's time to get your ass wet. Also to fly in the water and in the sky. And to take off with new experiences and new points of view. Even if they give you a vertigo, oh no, damn it! But well, it was worth the pain and it wasn't all that hard, although it was exciting. I also enjoy my thing, the bicycle, but they lent me a strange one with long hair, then kayaking, rafting, hydrospeed. But wait a minute, stop. I'm sure you're thinking, wow, what luck, what a wonderful experience, right? Well, it seems that once again, the things are not what they seem. It was more bittersweet than you can imagine. I remember I had an intuition one of the first days of the project, when I met a grandfather who told me about his life as if I were his grandson. I suddenly realized that I had no time for him or for nothing else. The company were already asked me for a new blog entry, attend the media, keeping the agenda, close the next activity, the video, photo, drive, cut, My precious possession, time, was being bought or sold depending how you look at it. Suddenly, I felt lost. To make it worse, a toxic ego, whose name I don't want to remember, was putting obstacles in the wheels. The mountains turning into Mordor. Fortunately, there were good people who marked the path to follow and put real band-aids and joy to the storm. The anxiety went down, and the affection had its effect. And that's what you remember when the times go by, the people you learn from, and the adventures you have, the hugs, the experiences, the glances, the places. What a places! Flavors and aromas again. And you will think, well, but was it really so hard to take a picture in the period? And it wasn't just that, it was much more, but the key, the difference, was that I came from enjoying life and the days without time, with the freedom of a child on a summer afternoon. In LIFETRIP, time stands still, flows. And experiences come by themselves without looking for them. For example, be a dolphin in paradise, or jump like a frog in a dreamlike waterfall. Walk on the water, or be a bird over the jungle. Be an astronaut in a blue galaxy, or a little fish in the clearest waters you can imagine. Kayak from island to island for a days. Play game in the best fields of the world. Discover Iguazu like no one else, or paraglide in Canoa Quebrada, playing with the same wind with which you will one day cross the Atlantic Ocean sailing. And all without the need of leave or stop at the end. Selling nothing, flowing, accelerating or pausing whenever you want. Getting into all the troubles and adventures that you know how to get out of. And all these waves without touching your small budget, exchanging, sharing, without half-truths, hurry or conditions. And do you understand me now? Of all the prices in the world, the best, the LIFETRIP. And I returned to LIFETRIP and from my beloved Baix Empordà through Blanes to Barcelona. The highlight was to give a concert at the Astrolabi with Donna, where I spent so many bohemian nights. Priceless, like my sister comes with me a few kilometers to say goodbye. And from there, in search of small towns and green ways, clearing the doubt about how I will feel cycling through Europe. Mediterranean in vain, and the Ebro River inland. Searching childhood memories. Morella y Xert, Peñíscola, Valencia, Gandia, Benidorm, Santa Pola, Tabarca.
Una vieja foto blindada, tocar los cielos en un avión, una primavera pausada.
Then changing the smell of the sea for the migas that my family prepared to me in Alhama de Murcia, the town of my dear Yayos, as we call our grandparents. Hey Jonan, what do you think if instead of Europe we fulfill the dream of crossing the Atlantic sailing? We need a cargo boat to take us to Canary Islands because the time of the good winds is ending. Yeah, I know that it's difficult, but if we call that one who knows that the other one. And one night we went to sleep with a little hope and yeah! We boarded the boat, exchanging the necessary insurance for a photographic job. Oh, and the dance of that big monster hypnotized you. A modern boat was taking me in search of a classic sailboat, and the black and white dream as a child wanted to become a full-color one. And it wasn't bored at all. The young Polish captain was showing me the guts and brains of the ship. Music, of course, adorned the endless talks about travel and life. I love living other lives. I remember when I was a sailor on a cargo ship in the Strait of Gibraltar. It was interesting to meet the Russian, German, Filipino sailors, other kinds of nomads of the sea. And to starboard El Peñón, Algeciras, and the Estrecho, with scenes of a space movie. And again the question, am I dreaming? In the middle of the Atlantic, the swell pushes us for a couple of days until land in sight. King Teide with Santa Cruz at his feet, civilization, and the paradise that should be the springboard for the Atlantic crossing. After checking that there was no movement in the harbor, we decided to jump to Las Palmas. And in the middle of that harbor routines, Ona and I disembarked full of enthusiasm to achieve our great dream, cruzar el charco, crossing the pond on a sailboat.
Somos nosotros, viajamos juntos en un barco dirigido por el viento, hacemos oídos sordos.
It was time to go to the port, and there I found a family of dreamers and crazy artists looking for the same ticket as Ona and me. Competition makes you creative, and I invented an eye-catching posters and started looking for alternative ports to the saturated one in capital. And bingo, in Puerto Rico, a small harbor in the south of the island, I found a Norwegian sailboat. They accepted me, and in a blink of an eye, we were already saying goodbye. Another dream that the LIFETRIP made come true.
Yeah, fantastic.
Capitan Magne, the young Roy, Ona, and I with the camera, guitar, and recipes, ready. The size of the dream made it all seem unreal on the first day. And on the second, imagine waking up from a nap with the sounds of dolphins singing through the hall, going out to the deck and seeing dozens dancing from far away. We spent a month at the sea, passing through Cabo Verde and the paradise of Fernando de Noronha. Another dream fulfilled, but so far I have hardly talked about dates. With that cross, we reached the halfway point of LIFETRIP, 3 and a bit years of the 7 that have passed until the moment that I'm saying these words. The slowest world tour in history, remember? I had lived more intensely in those first 3 years than in almost all my previous life. And in front of me, I have an infinite path to flowing with the zone of intuitions and happiness, as well as 100 skills to learn, elves to meet, songs to compose and record, hearts to fix, sands to suffer, rains to fight, landscapes to filmmake, islands to conquer, adventures to share, skies to climb, stories to hear, demons to beat, cousins and brothers to meet, up hills to downhill, deserts to cross and share, U-turns and decisions to make, and take a look on viewpoints to dream new adventures in the future, and value the luck of living such a free and intense life, only in exchange of overcoming the fear of the first step, and with the gift of a personal coach, because LIFETRIP balances. The sedentary Albert now pedals loaded like a mule. The shy one mixes with the strangers every day. The chaotic one organizes the saddleback every day. The lazy one who wakes up with the sun, or the non-professional who writes a book, edits a documentary, or records an album. The frugal who lives in luxury, the fearful who ventures in new adventures, the sorcerer student who takes the helm. We are coming to the end of this first flight of the LIFETRIP. And by showing this dream come true, we only want to add our grain of sand in someone's dream, wherever they are. some hard moments, but
Pero vale la pena. ¡Qué preciosidad, por favor! No se aprecia con la GoPro, hay unos pájaros ahí volando. Adelante hay queda agua todavía allí. Un caseverán no está seco, pero allí hay todavía. Se oye el ruido. ¡Wow! Además la adrenalina de estar aquí. ¡Colgado! ¡Yuhu!
and Anna and I are waiting for you in the next chapter with saddlebags overflowing. See you if you want in LIFETRIP behind the Nomad's madness.